Welcome, 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 everyone. This is an exciting day. Helen, are you ready?
Not really. Helen, you're ever ready. Ever ready.
So,
Oh my
my name
gosh.
is Karen Dean. For anyone on here who doesn't know me, which looks like a lot of people, Helen and I met in October of 2019 at an event in Toronto for women in business. And then we went on a retreat in Mexico in early 2020 before COVID started, and we were roommates and we had the best week. And so since then, we've been accountability partners and we've helped each other through all kinds of business stuff and personal stuff. So she asked me to be the host today, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm so, so proud of Helen for getting this book out and getting it done. It has been such a journey, and I've kind of held her hand through it via Zoom because I am in Nova Scotia, and I'm really proud of her. So I hope we can all celebrate with her today. We're just going to keep everybody muted in the beginning. We will do questions and answers at the end. So if there's anything you would like to ask Helen, please put it in the chat. And once we're done our conversation, we will answer some of those. Now, our guest of honor, the amazing Helen Patterson, has finally finished her work of heart, which is Create a Mentor Culture. She has it. I have it on my phone because I don't have a hard copy, but she's holding it up there. It's beautiful cover. And I know first, I am going to actually share the link right now. It is now available on Amazon for purchase as a ebook and as a paperback book. So the link is there if anyone wants to grab it and be the first ones to have copies of it, because it's really good. I've read the digital version and it's amazing. So, Helen, I know you want to thank some people first for all of the help they've given you to make this a reality. So, why don't you go ahead?
Woo! I just can't believe my heart is beating so fast to get here. And I'm going to be emotional, which I didn't think I would be.
Okay, bring it.
But
Bring the emotion.
there's so many beautiful people who are here who obviously mean a lot to me as well, people that couldn't make it. And just so many people sending me notes. And you never really realize who's along for the journey, right? And there's been a lot of people. So anyway, this has been such an amazing journey to get here. And so obviously there's tons of people that have been involved in some way. And first, I just wanted to start, obviously, to thank everybody who's here today and spending this time with us. And I celebrate all of you. I'm so grateful. I have people in my life from so many walks of life, my early friends. I have a few high school friends, I think the golden gals we call ourselves now, who have made it today. And we've been knowing each other for a long time. So thank you for all of your support throughout lots of ups and downs, the beautiful things like marriages and children, and more recently losing parents. And it's been wonderful to be with them. My law school gals, I see a few of you here too. And I think it's just so amazing again to share some decades of life and see ourselves grow up and not want to grow up as well. But good friend of mine, Downeth, who I lived with in law school, who I'll shout out, who actually wrote a fiction book, and a little different than this business book, but still knows the journey of getting here. And it's the hard part is the in between. And so thank you for being here as well. All of the women who actually are on the With Heart book circle, which I just started about a year ago. So several people I met through that. And we have authors every month who come on. And now here I am. Karen threw it out in January that Okay, Helen's going to be coming up. So, and I'm going to be the one that asks all the questions. So, thank you to all the book circle and my book club. Well, we have the law school one too, which is sort of random, and half the time people don't read the book, but that's okay. It's an excuse to get together. And the friends that I've made in my local home who years ago we started a book club, and I've met other people that I didn't know, and I think a few of them are here as well. And then all the women I met through business. So a lot of women, it's Women's History Month, so I'm going with them first. But then, of course, celebrating so many people that I've either coached or I've climbed mountains with, Jill. So, and I see Lee. There's a few people that are actually featured in the book. And so thank you. Emmeline, too, who has been in the background, and Stephen, who's on here somewhere, but I can't see everybody, who have been behind the scenes doing some marketing with LifeWorks well over the years. Other teammates, Joanne and Juanita, who actually read earlier versions and gave feedback along with Emmeline and a couple other people. So for the book part itself, because I had no idea what I was doing half the time, Jasmine Bartis here, who helped with some of the planning, and then Helen Wilkie, the other Helen, could not be here today. But I honestly put her through, I don't know what, with the editing back and forth. And I said, two Helens are better than one, but I'm sure at some point she said, what? Not another change. Anyway, it's all good and it's here now. And then obviously my family, I see a couple of my sister-in-laws, I think, made it. Again, I can't see everybody. So those supports, thank you so much. And my hubby was here. I saw him, but
Still here.
there's only a couple men in the room. So thank you. I see you. I appreciate you coming. And Katie's she had a work meeting. She's gonna try to come on. And Cullen, who's at his first year university in its classes. There were many other people that I interviewed for the book, and honestly, it really was so many people that just gave me positive vibes and championed me when there were times where I was like ready to just give up. So that was a lot. I'm probably forgot a few people, including my doggie, who, while we were doing the meditation, I could hear breathing and snoring. So that was quite nice. But and a special thanks to Cora, who has been part of our family for years, taking care of all of us, and throughout the time when I really didn't want to do cleaning or laundry. I mean, an angel on earth that allowed me to do all these things. So I hope I haven't forgotten anybody. If I have, I will thank you personally, of course. But I'm just very grateful and blessed to have just amazing people in my life. And yeah, so thank you. And thanks everyone again for being here.
Thank you, Helen. I think the people that surround you are a reflection of how wonderful you are. So, yeah, congratulations again. Now, why don't you give us a little bit of background about what led you to writing the book, like the backstory of it, and maybe a little bit about the writing process, which I want to say I did a lot of ass kicking through this writing process on our accountability calls. Meanwhile, Helen kicks my ass about things I needed kicked for. So tell us more about what led to it and kind of how you got to this final published book.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting when you think about a lot of people when they're younger, they want to they know what they want to do, and the idea of writing a book never existed in my life, like until I decided, and I blurted out once. I was still at a corporate role, my last corporate role, and I just blurted out, I'm going to write a book about mentoring, because I had found out in the organization it was a large global organization, 80 something thousand people. And I had found out that they had a mentorship program. And a woman I worked with in marketing, we both were like, well, what is this about? We didn't even know anything about it. How is that possible? So we asked our HR, I wasn't in HR at the time, I was in a different role. And we were just very curious. So we asked our human resources um, support leader at that time and said, what is this mentoring program about? So she came in and she told us all about it. At the time, it was mainly for emerging leaders. And I do understand what goes behind piloting or starting for certain groups before, but it just got me on this curiosity about why not mentorship for everyone in that organization, and why only smaller groups? Why can't it be available for all? So that sort of sparked the interest, and I started doing research about mentorship at that time. And I worked with a woman who had just graduated in her first few years, and we actually started out as friends in our marketing. I was in the marketing department, if you can believe it, but that's a long story. Anyway, and we started kind of mentoring each other. Because she had the marketing and product management, and I had the human resources side, and this company was going from payroll to HR, and so we could support each other, and that's what I discovered was what many people call reciprocal mentoring, and really all of it is. I think we can learn and grow from everybody. So it sort of started that. I spoke the next year, and that was the journey. That's sort of the spark, and I was getting involved in a lot of mentorship in volunteer organizations like the Human Resources Professional Association. So at the time, there was only maybe 12, maybe a dozen mentor platforms. And because I was working in a tech company, it just started this spark. And so that's sort of where it all began. And then one last thing, I think part of it was I realized that I didn't really have a lot of that growing up. And I think that a lot of times people will have mentors either through their parents or some special teachers or someone in their lives. And while I did get them later and realize now there was a few teachers that really inspired me, I didn't have those go-to people that I could call a mentor back then. And I thought, well, everyone should, whether you're in grade school, high school, youth, like to have someone in your corner. So that's what sparked the journey, and it's been a long one since then.
Well, tell us more about your writing process and how you got from all of these ideas to that book that you have in your hand right now.
Well, it's really interesting because I feel like there's still more, like the hard work. Um, it evolved, and that's why sometimes you start with an idea in mind. And at the time when I left corporate world and decided to reignite my business, I was focused more on the HR consulting. But I thought, oh, well, how do I start this? And so I was exploring that process. And a lot of people were saying, well, you should write a book, have it as part of your business, part of your marketing. But that never really felt it never really felt aligned to me, in that I didn't want this to just, oh, let's go sell this thing, let's go use it for the business. I mean, I've accepted it now. So the ideas just came more of what would this look like in corporate, so mentor programs in corporations. And so I started writing from that lens. I asked a few people who had written books, and some speakers and people that were coaches that had written books. And Helen was recommended to me as a book coach. And so she helped guide me on like the outline for the manuscript, starting with that, what they call the shitty first draft, that like just get things out there. And so I would have to like write a certain amount of pages and again, get in the seat. And yeah, so that's how it started. It really is about the history of mentorship, how it was different than other relationships, how to create a mentor program in your organizations. That's where it kind of started. But I never do things very simply. I tend to complicate life. and and as my family will tell you, just other ideas started coming. So it was quite an evolving process. I thought it would be like literally Helen, who was guiding me this whole time, said it's ready years ago. It was ready a couple years, like it's ready to go. Just get it out. But there was something holding me back. And then a couple years in, I thought this was about a year or so in, and I'm like, oh, I should really interview people for the book. Like, again, just ideas that came to me that felt right. And that actually complicated it a little bit more too, because I did actually meet with almost 60 people about their mentorship experiences. I was so curious, like, did everybody have mentorship? And surprisingly enough, a lot of people didn't have mentorship. They had organic mentors, maybe, which we talk a little bit about that in the book, the difference between that and formal. And a lot of people did. And so they shared their stories, and I had specific questions. So again, that lengthened the process. And what am I going to do with these transcripts now? So that's why I said there was a lot of people, the team that actually helped me like summarize different questions and what goes in. Ah, wow. It's not like I've heard people, they say, oh, it just came to them and they wrote this in a weekend. I thought that would have been nice if that happened, but it was a lot of writes and rewrites. And then, things get in the way. Helen had a couple of hospitalizations during it. And then I lost my mom, and I put it on hold for almost a year and a half or longer. So that's why when sometimes I go back and it's like, what was this about? No, but it really evolved. And I think when I started to look at beyond corporations and how mentorship can be brought to organize beyond in the community and creating the ripple effect and just spreading it, I think that ended up making the book more of what I wanted to see in the world. So I have to say the writing process for anyone out there that would like to write a book or has it on their plans, um, it's it's a journey, and there's a lot that comes out as far as who we are as a person and the patience and the frustrations of reading proof copies and finding typos, and it's just like it challenges you as a human. And so having Emmeline for the last year has been actually quite amazing, because with her calming presence, she's like, just let it go, let it go, or just be in the moments, and that really helped. I have to say, if I ever decide to do this again, I don't know, I'll probably do it a little differently too. So, but it's just getting ideas down, and really um it came together in a way I'm really happy about now, but it was not sort of what I expected.
Yeah, and I think that's the evolution of probably every book that's ever been written, is it never looks the way you plan for it to look when you begin. And I think you will do another one, and you'll use all the knowledge you've gained from doing this one, and the next one will be so much easier. And I do just want to acknowledge that Katie is here now. So hi, Katie. Helen's daughter is here. Welcome. And I'm going to share the links again because Sophie had shared the US link as well. So there are some new people that have come in that may not have seen the links. And Sophie also reminded me of something very important to support Helen is if you buy the book and read the book, make sure you go back to Amazon and leave a review. Those are so valuable for authors to just so that when people come on and see the book, they know that a little bit about what it's about and how wonderful it is. And so that's one easy way you can support Helen as well. So now, I would like you to talk about how your passion for mentoring has evolved and how you think it enriches lives and careers, because we have talked about how it's not just in your career that you can use a mentor, but also in just everyday life. So how about we talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Thanks, Katie, showing up. Yeah, she's been seeing me with this some of the ups and downs. And I see some other people that came too, and I may have forgotten earlier that, and this is related to what you're asking here, Karen. I really started to deepen the volunteer parts of mentorship in volunteering with the HR Professional Association, which has about 25,000 members, and they have chapters. So I did get involved with the local chapter in the West, and um, as a mentor first. And I think a couple of my mentees, who are now mentors, that's the ripple effect. Sanya and Lavanya were going to pop on. I don't know if they made it on, but they, it was just a beautiful experience. And so volunteering, I remember going to I wasn't involved in the chapter at that time as the chair of mentorship, but I was invited to speak about it at an event, and it was a vision board event. And Lovell's here, I think. Lovell, thank you to my HR peeps that are here. Um, Lovell was part of the committee too, and the board, and we had this snowstorm and a vision board event that was linked to the mentor program. And I thought, isn't that a cool way to bring mentors and mentees together, and to create their visions for their career? So that's where I really started deepening my involvement as the chair of mentorship. We grew that program once I took over. Angie, who had helped out, was also instrumental on that, and Sanya, who was a mentee. We just had a lot of fun events, and um, started to spread it. And Sean Mintz couldn't be here today, but his platform, Mentor City, was the platform. And so, but how do you get people involved in it, and how do you spread that beyond your workplace? And so these associations are a big part of growing it. The American Mentoring Association has one, and you'll find a lot. But I also was starting to think beyond that. Where else is mentorship needed? And so the business mentorships like Futurepreneur. Futurepreneur is for entrepreneurs in Canada. They provide funding, but they also provide mentorship as part of the funding. And I got involved in that, and I thought, what do I know? But anyway, I do know quite a bit about starting a small business and the pains that go with that as well, but more just being there in a safe space for people. And so I was getting involved in that, mentoring people in that, and then Startup Women. And I think that's how I met Kelly, who's on. Kelly's here. Yay. Kelly's going to be one of our guest authors coming up in May for the With Heart Book Circle. And we met through Startup Canada, but they had a program for Startup Women. And actually, you could just, if you had a different expertise, so Sophie, you would like this because I know you've wanted to mentor at some point. You find an organization. This was amazing because you could have those 1 hour or one specific mentor conversation. You put up your profile, and then anyone could come and ask you a question and connect with you during the 6 to 8 month program. So I really was getting involved in that and learning from that about, hey, Kelly, we only met a few times originally, or some of the mentees, they only had like really just wanted to ask me a few questions for one meeting. And that little spark of the other idea again that came with the book is how do we go beyond into our communities, and that 1 million mentor moments idea was coming to me, the everyday mentor idea of like, it doesn't have to be always the big programs, even though I'm a fan of that and support it, and coaching and sponsorship. But why don't we just provide that time to people? And it's the gift, it's a form of the gift of giving through mentorship. And so that just kept spreading. And then that's sort of how it evolved in thinking about the everyday mentor moments. and really just having a conversation, because we can learn and grow. And the thing about it, um, when people say, "Oh, I'd love to find a mentor," or you may already have them in your life. You may not even realize it. Like when I think about the friends that are here, like I do really consider them like we are always constantly there with a support and some advice, and sometimes just asking the questions so you find the right answers, which is more like a coach. But um, the beauty of having someone. Um, and then the one other thing I'd say is I started looking at Mentor Canada when I was starting out on my journey of research. And Mentor Canada was very new at the time, which is surprising. It was a company that started because they have a nonprofit down in the US called National Mentoring. And Mentor Canada was looking to expand what it did in the youth mentor space. And so they were affiliated with Big Brothers and Big Sisters, which people in Canada would know, and globally as well. And they were talking about 15,000 youth looking for mentors. And those are the kinds of organizations that we should try to find, and volunteer for. Now they're a massive national company, Mentor Canada. They're doing a lot of research in that space. They now have had their first year of summits, and so I think there's this expansion of the need. And then Black Mentorship Inc., which unfortunately Evangeline couldn't be here, but I started getting involved in supporting her. We met online during the pandemic, and her company's really growing. And I think that you can, with a little bit of research, you can find somewhere where you could probably give, even if it's an hour a month. It's a beautiful way to just have some connection with people.
And I know you're a big supporter of the Black Mentoring Inc. or Mentorship Inc. And part of the proceeds from this book, you are going to give to them to help them out with their organization. So applause for that, for giving back in such bigger ways than just being a mentor. And I want you to tell us a little bit, because some people here may not know about your 1 million mentor moments. So can you give people a little more details about that? Because I know you're still collecting them.
Yeah. So I had this plan. It's sort of funny how things evolve, as I said, the book and everything else. But um, and I think Jill was part of it, part of her program. There's coaching, and thinking about. I always had a hard time with like thinking it needed to be big, right? And I don't necessarily think it needs to. I think these small, impactful conversations can, and just connections can do more than we really believe. But I thought I had this idea for this create a mentor culture and the ripple effect of like mentoring in your organizations, in the community, and then beyond, in a way that doesn't have to be so programmatic as well. And so I came up with this 1 million mentor moments idea. It just sort of popped in my head. I like the everyday mentor idea too. But instead of thinking about all the millions of money and that kind of thing, like why not create some moments that will help in a kind, compassionate way. And I was going to wait for that, and I thought I'm going to wait the book, and I had again these plans, and you know what? It's a lot easier when you just let go of it. Just if it comes up, just do it and figure it out. But in the fall, and it was funny because with Jill, you write down like what are your thoughts? What are some things you'd like to do? And you put down ideas, but then you never do it, or you just you put it off, or life gets in the way. And so the book wasn't quite getting out, and the energy around it wasn't great because I was like just probably a little bit of perfection, which you have to let go of too. And then I just said, why am I waiting for that 1 million mentor moments idea, Jill? So she said, pick 3 big things in 1 year. And I'm like, that's too much. So anyway, well, in the fall, we decided, let's just do this and share. So it's actually, there have been people sharing, and basically it's just a way of spreading mentorship again. And if people had a mentorship moment, or they had a conversation, or they got involved in mentorship, or they wanted to share, we just came up with the hashtag, the short form for 1 million mentor moments, which is OMMMS, which was kind of funny too, because it's ohms, and I don't know. Maybe it's a good marketing thing. I don't know. It's just fun. But so we'll do some more of that and spreading that, because I think that's where, even though the book didn't start, it started on like, let's just focus on corporate programs, and that's what you do. No, how about giving people time off to actually volunteer in an organization that provides mentorship? There's so many different ways you can look at that. And what about just, even if you only have time for one coffee chat with someone, and you're giving some advice that you're not charging them for, or things like that, or just a special moment. So that's exciting too, and that's like just spreading it through mentorship through that way, which feels a little warmer and closer to the idea of the mentor with heart and ripple effect,
Yes.
right? So yeah, so
I love that.
exciting. Hmm.
So, I know there's a chapter about this in the book, but what is some advice for people who may want to find a mentor, either inside the organization or outside the organization?
Yeah, and I have to say, it's funny because I think so many things are repeated. And one of the things that I had to get over was, because when I was writing, Chat GPT and Claude didn't exist, or I didn't know it existed. And I thought, well, everybody can just, search this and figure it out themselves. But I thought, I'll just put it together. And I started to think about it. And I actually asked the people that I interviewed, how did they find their mentors, or where would they go? What would their recommendations be? And there's one chapter, it's a little different because I share some of their advice in that, but there's a lot of themes that came out, and a lot of it is what I mentioned earlier with associations. So if you are still in working mode, and you have a career, find an association maybe that might have a mentorship program. So the HR Professional Association, the American Marketing Association. There's a lot of, like, in the entrepreneur space, there's a lot of organizations like Futurepreneur. There's Forum, which is a women's network. There's so many. And so that's one way of trying to see if you can find it that way. I mean, one of the things that people don't love, and so for early career people that are on here, there's a couple. It's in your organization, there may be people that you connect with, and organically you could form a relationship first and get to know them, because you do want to have the connection. So more organic mentoring, if there isn't a formal one. And then a lot of people said, go on social. And, I don't think follow someone on LinkedIn and right away say, will you be my mentor? I think you want to make sure that you're building the relationships and meeting with people. Not everybody's comfortable networking, right? So, but getting out at those events, out of the comfort zone, it is hard. But just be yourself. I've had a lot of people, actually, a lot of people said, oh, follow someone on LinkedIn, get some connections, comment on their posts, and then, ask them for a coffee chat. But I think you want to be a little bit more intentional. And one of the things we do talk about, or I do talk about in the book, is, what's your why behind it? What is the reason you think this person would be someone that you want to potentially learn from, or ask questions of or seek advice from. Not necessarily those people that have, hundreds of thousands of followers and they have the limelight and they have everything else. I think you can find really beautiful people that are the everyday mentors. So those are just a few ideas. In the volunteer space, in the nonprofit space, I mean, I think if you can find those organizations like Mentor Canada, so up here, and then National Mentoring down in the US. And then there's quite a few other organizations across the globe. There's another one called Global Mentorship Initiative that I follow that actually matches people, new career university students as well, with people in corporations. And I do mention some of these organizations in the book. But I think you want to meet with a few people before you decide. So yeah, I think everyone really deserves to have someone in their corner, and you'd be surprised at where you can find those people. So
Sure. And of course, if you read the book, you will learn lots about how to create a mentor culture and find mentors and be a mentor. So in your opinion, what makes a great mentor?
hmm. Oh, I wonder if one of my mentees is on here that was. You know what? For me, and I don't know if Nora Mensch, if Nora Spinks made it on today. She was going to try to come. Nora was one of my first mentors. I'm just looking through.
I don't see,
Yeah, Nora wrote the foreword too, and I met Nora back in when I was at CIBC at the bank. Um, we didn't have, I don't believe we had a formal mentorship program. I'm aging myself now, but way back then. And Nora was one of our uh, consultants. She actually helped almost all the banks create their work-life programs, and her company was called Work-Life Harmony. And we were bringing the first backup childcare center to Canada at the time. So I loved working with her. And then when I left there and started LifeWorks Well the first time, she was my first client. I worked with her and learned a lot from her. And I think I would say, as an organic mentor, one of my first mentors in business, being open, being a really good listener, which some people would say I had to do some work on that, and I have tried. and just not necessarily giving all the answers all the time, even though I think that's what traditionally a mentor is, someone who gives advice and guidance, but is also able to hold the space for where that person is and meet them there and ask really good questions as well. Because the mentorship itself, like the traditional definition, is really the lived experience or expertise you have. So you can be a teacher. That's one of the roles of a mentor. But really, I think if you can, it's about the compassion and building, like, how do you build trust so that someone feels safe to be able to just be themselves as well. And yeah, that's probably the top ones.
I love all that. Well, now we are going to open it up for questions. So if you want to ask Helen a question, you can put it in the chat, or you can use the raise your hand feature, and you can unmute yourself and actually ask it to her, depending on if you want to talk to everybody or if you just want to type it in the chat. That is entirely up to you. And if you look through all the comments, Helen, there's so many congratulations, and there's some mention of some other programs that have mentorship programs. So I hope you read through all of those and see the pride that everybody has in what you have done, because it is a phenomenal feat to actually take an idea and turn it into a book. I know how much work it is. I know how hard you've worked on it. And again, I just want to say congratulations. So is there anybody who wants to come out and actually ask a question? Oh, Lee, oh, Lovell is first. I see her first. So Lovell, if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question.
Yes, first of all, Helen, many congratulations. This is a great achievement, and I've known you for so many years, and I know that you are very resilient. And I have been indirectly been mentored from you. I don't know if that is the right way to say it, but um, learned so much, so much, so much from you. So congratulations again, and thank you for putting out this to the world for everyone else to learn from your lessons and from your book. Being in HR, I know absolutely how important mentoring is, but maybe you want to just clarify the difference between coaching and mentoring.
Yeah, thank you, Lovell. So good to see you here, and thank you for
Yeah,
everything.
likewise.
Yeah, we've been through a lot, and um, it's an interesting thing because that is one of the first things that one of the early chapters was really looking at setting the ground, like what are the different relationships in the workplace. Mostly the book is focused on that, but it's there's coaching, mentorship, and sponsorship, and then there are other relationships like manager and all of those other things, but those I call the big three. And when I think about the mentorship, I really do look at it as the traditional definition, which is to everybody has some special talents or knowledge or advice or guidance, again, from their lived experience and from their expertise, their talents, and to be able to share that with other people. So that's sort of the traditional definition of a mentor. And the coaching profession, which has been booming over the last 20 years, I'd say, and is still growing, which is amazing. There's a lot of specific training that coaches will go through and certification, and a lot of it is on asking questions. And I think a mentor and a coach can be both, but a coach really isn't going to give advice often. Kristen couldn't make it today, but I interviewed Kristen, who's a coach friend of mine for years, and I remember what she said is when she's with a client, sometimes she'd say, "I'm going to take my coach hat off right now and put my mentor hat on because I have some specific expertise in this area. Are you okay if I give you recommend something?" Right? So coaches really ask a lot of powerful questions, and I think some of the best mentors actually know how to do that too. And then sponsors are the ones that are advocating for you and really using their social capital and championing for people in the organization. It's really come up a lot in the equity, diversity, inclusion area. But so the one thing that Catalyst did a lot of research on this, and I loved what the quote that they said is like, so mentors talk to you, coaches talk with you, and sponsors talk about you. And that's kind of a great way to bring it together. And that's why I think everyone can be a mentor. And again, the reciprocal mentorship is where you're learning, from each other. So, we don't always want to put this age thing on it because, when you think about reverse mentoring, which Jack Welch coined, it was because they had all the tech expertise and they were teaching all of us, how to use technology or a little bit more about it. And now that could be used for AI as well. And I do want to put a plug for Stephen. He has one of his other side businesses is called the Silver Wizard. So for anyone who has some challenges with technology, Mary's here. Her mom, my mother-in-law, beautiful Denny, is using the iPad in her 90s, and I'm like, this is so cool. So we can all learn from other people. So I hope that helped, Level.
Yes, absolutely. A very quick follow-up on that. I know there is certification for coaching. Is there any certification for mentoring?
Well, interesting enough, it's kind of different over in Europe and the UK. That's the thing, is there's these terms get mixed up because there are certifications for mentors, and I think there's some and one of the mentors I have, Lisa Fain, she has the Center of Mentoring Excellence, and they've started though to train and certify program managers, so people that actually run the mentor programs. You'll see them at universities or other places. So there are some. I think that that's where there's that little bit of overlap and grayness that I think, to me, there's a distinction. So, and maybe we'll never figure it out, because I remember the brief coaching course I took at University of Toronto at OISE. The professor at the time, who was a PhD in written things, she said, Helen, when I was looking up the definitions of coaching, there were over 100. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll try to clarify it a little bit, but I kind of stick to mine. But yeah, there are both.
All right, we
Thank
have
you.
a bazillion questions to get through. So I know some people probably have to go at the top of the hour. Thank you to everyone who said that they ordered the book. Don't forget to go and do a review later, because that will help future readers of the book. Lee, you're up.
Hi, thank you. Well, first off, I just want to thank Helen so much for all the work that she's done in mentorship, specifically with Women in Biz Network. She was instrumental in helping me with mentor matching. We had a formal program for quite some time, and now I'm involved in a variety of different programs. I've sort of extended my mentorship throughout other programs, because I think that we all need to work together. So I currently mentor with an organization called the Prosperity Project, which I put in the chat. There's a link there for specifically for women who have a few years of work experience. They can get matched with a mentor for 6 months. And then on the call is Jasmine Ali, who is the head of training at Rise. And Rise, I heard about from Kadeen, who's also on the call. She was a mentor for that organization. I'm currently mentoring an amazing young woman named Kathleen, who inherited a Chinese food restaurant from her father, who passed away very suddenly. And so my question to Helen is, so Rise specifically supports entrepreneurs that have mental health and addiction challenges, which in full transparency is something that I've had experiences with both. And I think that that's a special area to get involved in, supporting people that maybe are going through difficult times, and that requires a special type of mentor. I know I've got my mental health first aid training. I think if you want to mentor someone who has some specific challenges around their mental health or addiction, trauma, etc., I think it requires a special set of resources. So Jasmine's on the call. She may want to say something about this, but I also would love to hear, Helen, your perspective.
Well, thank you for that. I think that raises a really good point. Even regardless of the type of program or who it's specifically there to support, if it's a programmatic thing, it's like training for managers too. I don't think you can just put in some programs without the support. So that is, are you qualified? Because one of the distinctions, the relationships, is that a mentor is not a counselor, right? You are not there there are people that are trained as psychologists. And so how do you teach managers, which we've done? I have the first aid training as well. I did that training as well. And in HR, we're constantly trying to help managers learn if there are some specific issues that maybe they need EAP or they need someone outside. So I think with that, Lee, I think that's a really great thing is, are you going to give like help with resources, help with training, help mentors be the best that they can be in any kind of situation because you don't know what's going to come up. I think with the mental health challenges we're having, like I remember years ago doing a talk and I had quoted 1 in 5 Canadians with mental health issues, and now I believe it's 1 in 3, maybe even that. So I think that for those, anything, you've got to really make sure that you are not doing any further harm. You are creating safe spaces, right? So thank you for raising that. I think that mentorship for mental health would be an amazing thing. There's so many people out there that need that, and also resources, right, to help them navigate, especially now it's with what's happening in the world and with the extra challenges that I think kids growing up have in the world. So I hope that, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
the more we
Jasmine,
can do, the more.
Jasmine's there. Maybe she might want to say a few words about the mentorship program that Rise runs because it's incredible.
Sounds great. Thanks for coming, Jasmine.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, and thanks for inviting me, Lee. This was such an amazing conversation, and congratulations, Helen, on the book. And so, I mean, Lee, you've summed it up. You said it very well. I don't feel like I need to add any more to what you've said, but we support entrepreneurs at all stages in their journey with mental health and addiction challenges, and folks want mentorship. Folks want to be supported. They come to us for guidance. They want someone to hold their hand, to challenge them, to give them new perspectives. And we help facilitate the process of linking them with folks like Lee and others that are really dedicated to supporting people that are coming up. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for this conversation. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. Keep
Jasmine.
spreading it. Yeah.
All right, Helen, we have so many questions, so we could be here for a while. So what are the particular challenges for a young woman to get a mentor in a predominantly male workplace? That came from Judy.
Ah, Judy.
And I don't know if Judy's
We're
even
still trying to
here,
solve the
though.
problems.
I don't think
Yeah.
Judy's even here anymore,
Yeah,
though. But
I think she is. Yeah.
oh,
Hi.
there you are. You're at the top of my screen, and I was looking at the bottom.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing because I do write a little bit about it, and I had to be very careful not to slam things, and be positive because people know me as the positive light. But I had a mentor in when I was an articling student. They had a little mentor program, and honestly, I don't remember having very many meetings with this person. I don't remember the guidance. Like it was again one of those things from my lived experience. Like this is what is this? Until I look back now, I can say, oh, that was an example of probably not a great mentorship program, even though it was maybe before its time. It's too bad they needed a bit more work on it. It's interesting, Judy, because I'm thinking, like, especially with the whole focus on, do you look for a mentor who is like you, or that, is at a place where you want to be next? Or is it better to have a mentor that is actually going to stretch you or help you stretch? And that's interesting. One of the definitions, I think it's about stretching and going beyond. So I think it's just really what you need. But with the male issue, when it's again like it's men mentoring men in that case, and so those predominantly male environments, which I think some of them are changing, hopefully, whether we have more women there. And I think that
was that the men are choosing the mentor, the
yeah,
mentee, and they choose someone that reminds them of themselves.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And
That's the
that's where it's kind of interesting, because it becomes that repeat of, it's a sponsorship that's probably not used in the best way, right? And so I think that in cases like that, if you're not getting it in your organization, I think you have to look outside. That's where you can spread it. But someone needs to step up and say something. And that is, we can't make those changes without, wait a minute, like, why is that person getting all the mentorship and I'm not? And I mean, decades later, you'd think we'd have this figured out by now, Judy. It's like, so I think that, you know, I'm not aware of all of the situations out there. Like, I know that some professions take a little longer. Like, I think the legal profession is still, and many other organizations. I don't want to get into this whole discussion about it, but the way that we're structured, organization, society, like, we're looking to change it, right? And so who's going to be the one to speak up to say, you know what, let's mix this up a bit? I was kind of interested, like, even with the Black Mentorship Inc., when I was talking to Evangeline, I said, well, you created Black Mentorship Inc. because there were no role models for you in the organization. There was not a Black leader that would take you and mentor you and help you, because they weren't in those leadership roles. I said, why would you want me? Right? But she said, but you're an advocate and you can help change it. We're still gonna, we still have our mission and our intent, but we do need other people outside to advocate for the changes. So yeah, a lot of work to do still.
Yeah, for sure. I hope I'm saying your name right. Kadeen, or is it Kadine? Has a
Kadeen.
two-part question.
It's Kadeem.
Awesome.
Thanks for
So,
coming.
what do you know now about mentorship that you didn't know or wish you knew prior to writing the book? And second part, now that the book is complete, what do you envision the next steps are for you and the book?
Well, Tim and I are going to go for a long walk today and then go out for dinner. But it's funny because our book circle next month is a woman named Lisa Bragg, and her book is called Bragging Rights. So if anybody wants to come, I have to actually figure out how to get everybody's that doesn't want to come off the list, because I may have messed that up, but that's okay. And just, she said, really have fun on that day. It's just a day, it's what you do after. And I thought, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? What was I thinking? I'm just gonna get out there. But I mean, ideally, I would love to continue to work with organizations that either want to bring mentorship in, continue in the community, in the volunteer space, for that, and really the 1 million mentor moments and the everyday mentor moments, which I think is probably even a better way to continue to spread mentorship. What I've learned now, I have to say, well, Katie knows about HR and identities and all of these things, and I think that being present, which Emmeline started us at the beginning, I'm much more in tune with that, and I still have work to do. I'm really trying to be present with people when I am having a one-on-one conversation. It's not always easy. Like, it's a practice. I mean, Judy mentioned she's going to be taking some meditation courses or something, so that's exciting. You and Emmeline should chat. But
It's going to be a challenge.
yeah, I think if we just, so it's not just this, like, check a box, do it this way. Like, actually just be in that moment and figure out what's there. And a lot of people really just need someone to listen to them for a little while. And believe it or not, I can do that sometimes. Hold the
Uh,
space. Yeah. So thanks.
awesome.
Thanks for that question.
Andrea has a similar themed question to one you've already answered, but as a woman, what did you notice we can bring, and what is our gift in the mentoring space compared to the gifts of men, especially for entrepreneurial women living in a culture that still has more masculine energy and or paradigms? So Andrea is still here.
Hmm. You always ask good questions. Um, you know, I can only speak for myself, and it's one of those things that a bigger discussion on masculine, feminine, and all of that can open up way too much today. And but I think that the more we work on ourselves and our own journeys, our own healing, our own practices of being um, focused on ourselves and loving ourselves, all those things that take a while to learn sometimes decades. Ideally, the future younger generations don't have to go through decades of pain that they learn earlier. But I think that we are naturally nurturers. I think women, if we are mothers or parents as well, and I think that we all have both. And so it's again, how do we bring harmony to ourselves in that, and also that the more I really believe that we're energetic connections and that we are really all part of souls and human bodies. That when Emmeline was doing her meditation at the beginning, I could hear the birds outside and Joey, and I could actually feel like my heart beating, but I was thinking, my heart's beating with everybody here. And that deepening of that, I think, is going to help us be better mentors and better humans.
Agreed. I think that's all the actual questions. All of the other comments are just positive comments to you and how wonderful you are and congratulating you. And we are at 1:15, which is right on time for when we were planning to wrap up. So I want to thank everyone who's still here for coming. I want to congratulate you, Helen, again on this incredible book, and getting it out to the world is, you and Tim is still on here. So I hope he celebrates you tonight like you deserve to be celebrated, because I know I'm very proud of you, and I think everybody else is here too. So thank you, everyone, for coming. And get the book. The links were all there. Leave a review. Tell everybody that you know that might enjoy it, and let's get this book out to people and share Helen's wisdom.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Karen and Emmeline, for co-hosting, and everybody for being here. I know I get to go relax, so that's awesome. So have a great day. Have a great weekend.